Welcome to the iLearn Virtual Campus. Please sign up for a free iLearn membership on our website, check out our 7th annual conference coming next spring 2021, and let us know if you're interested in hosting events or leasing space on our campus by emailing campus@immersivelrn.org.
Hello, good morning, everyone in Brazil. Good afternoon, good evening. I'm really happy to welcome here for this last day of ISMER. We are going to begin our session 16 with Professor Jason Orlowski. So thanks a lot, Professor. You can begin the session. Enjoy the day.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for the introduction. And welcome to session 16, VR Experiences and Studies. We'll start the session off with a paper called Enhancing Participation Experience in VR Live Concerts by Improving Motions of Virtual Audience Avatars. And the speaker is Hiromu Yakura. And if the student volunteer will go ahead and start the video.
Hello, I'm Hiromu Yakura, a graduate student at the University of Tsukuba, Japan. We are going to present methods for enhancing the experiences of participating in virtual reality-based live concerts. As you can infer from this video, participating in live concerts not only means listening to music, but also contains a social experience between the audience. In this case, audience members are shaking their hands along with the music together. A good example illustrating the importance of such a social interaction is given by Hatsune Miku. Hatsune Miku is not a human artist, but the avatar icon of a singing voice synthesizer. However, some fans hold live concerts by projecting her dance on a screen. As Rivet investigated the concerts in the context of social science, this phenomenon suggests that social interaction could be the core motivation of participation. Given that in virtual reality, many live participation platforms are trying to replicate the experience. For example, social spaniel is implemented to reflect the movement of other audience members in their avatars. However, there are several limitations. First, they implicitly assume that a not small number of users connect simultaneously. So like this video, what if there are only a few users though you are seeking social feelings? Moreover, the movements of other audience members are often become not synchronized with music due to the latency of network connections. On the other hand, speculation shows that people feel unpleasant for a person moving out of the beat. In other words, such delayed movements of other avatars can decrease the participating experience. These points conversely suggest that better experiences can be offered by computationally displaying the movements of other audience avatars in synchronization with the beat without requiring the concurrent existence of other audience members. Thus, we examine methods to present synchronized movements of audience avatars and investigate the effects in a user study to discuss design implications. More specifically, we examine four methods which can be divided into two categories. The first category is copy-based methods, which are based on copying the user's movement. The second category is data-driven methods, which are based on analyzing the movements of the audience members in the real world using the recordings of the concerts of Hatsune Miku. We would like to begin with the copy-based methods. The first method is copying the user's self-movements. Let us consider a simplified situation that there is a user with two virtual avatars. When the user performs some movements, it is immediately copied to the virtual avatars. Then the user changes their posture. It is also reflected into the avatars, and so forth. In short, it is a straightforward approach in which the user's movements are copied in real time. The second method is copying other users' movements. In this case, we assume that there are some users who have already watched the same performance. Then a user is watching the performance. The movements of the previous users are replayed using virtual avatars along with the music. In this case, there is no concern for latency or number of other audience members, and thus we anticipate that this method can resemble the experience of participating with a large number of audience members. Next, we would like to explain the data-driven method, which are based on the recordings of the concerts in the real world. We started by analyzing the movements of audience members in the recordings using a clustering algorithm. As a result, we found the movements can be categorized into four representative clusters. In the first cluster, the audience member raises their hands once over the musical measure. In the second cluster, they put their hands up twice. In the third cluster, they put their hands up force, that is, at all of the feet in the music. And in the last cluster, they change the direction of moving their hands, taking horizontally twice. Through this analysis, we discovered that a large part of the movements of the audience members can be replicated using these four clusters. Therefore, we considered methods to resemble them using virtual avatars. We first considered a method of repeating these representative movements in synchronous with the beat. This method starts with detecting musical images using a beat detection algorithm. Then it assigns one of the four clusters randomly in regard to their real distribution. So given two virtual avatars, the assignment is processed in a measure by measure manner. When the user goes into the first measure, each virtual avatar replaces the assigned movement and so forth. The last method is a more sophisticated approach, which employs machine learning instead of the random selection. This method extracts musical features for each measure and choose most likely movements by considering the musical features. So by training a machine learning model using the data from the real world, it predicts like the cluster 3 would good for the first measure and the cluster 1 for the second measure and so forth. Then, in the same manner as the previous method, the virtual avatar plays the assigned movements when the user watches the performance. So we first examine whether the machine learning model can choose suitable movements from the musical feature. We prepared 4 feature sets and compared the accuracy with all combinations. As a result, we could achieve about 76% accuracy, while the expected value for the random selection is 35%. This result implies that the employment of machine learning would produce more natural movements of the virtual avatars in comparison to the random selection. So far, we have described 4 methods to present the avatar movement. We then conducted a user study using our custom developed venue to compare the effect of 4 methods. This is a demo video showing how participants experience the live concerts. The 2 videos in the left are showing copy-based methods, and the right videos are showing data-driven methods. By comparing the videos C and D, you may be able to find that the machine learning model changes the selection in accordance with the music. In our user study, each of the 20 participants experienced 2 of the 4 methods. After each method, they filled a questionnaire, and at the end of the study, they were asked which of the 2 methods was better. For the questionnaire, we used 2 measures, a sense of co-presence and presence. The sense of co-presence is often considered as a key component of the social experience in live participation, and the presence is often used to evaluate the quality of the subjective experience in virtual reality. We also analyze the response for the pairwise comparison using the Bracket-Rouget model. As a result, normal movements and copying self-movements showed significantly worse evaluation of the sense of co-presence against all of the 3 other methods. For the presence, copying other users' movements and the machine learning-based synthesis showed significantly better evaluation against no movements and copying self-movements. From the pairwise comparison, we obtained a similar trend, that is, copying other users' movements and machine learning-based synthesis was favorably perceived. In short, we confirmed that presenting the movements of audience avatar is effective to enhance participation experience, except copying the self-movements. Here, the remaining methods have different resource requirements which demand further consideration. Thus, we discussed design implications. For example, copying other users' movements would not be recommended when there is a latency as shown in this video. For detail, please refer to our paper. This is conclusion of our presentation. Thank you for listening.
Okay, great. Thank you for the talk. If there are any questions, you can type them in the Whova application. Also, you can use the public chat. And also, if you could give a round of applause for the speaker. Okay, I don't see any questions yet, so I'll go ahead and ask one question. I couldn't see clearly in the videos, but were the bodies of the avatars also moving?
Yes. On the center of the video, there's a character avatar performing performance, and there's about 100 avatars who also participate as a audience, and their avatar is controlled by our proposed algorithm.
So their hands move. Do their bodies and legs also move?
Basically, only hands move, but using inverse kinetics algorithm, maybe body and legs will be moved slightly.
Okay. It might be interesting to see how movement, like dancing or walking around, would affect perception in the future.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions in the audience? You can also raise your hand if you want to ask any questions. Okay, well, if there are no other questions, let's thank the speaker one more time and give another round of applause.
Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Huimin Liu. And Huimin, have you joined by any chance? I don't see your name on the list. Okay, so we'll go ahead and play the video, and hopefully the speaker will join us in the meantime.
Hi, my name is Hui Ming. I'm here to present our paper, Virtual Reality Rapid Spots, Virtual Drills for Exercise and Training. X games require physical output as a way of interaction and engagement with the game, which encourages its use for both exercise and fun. The idea of using X games to improve the health of users have been increasingly promoted by the research and development communities. In addition, X game can also be used as a credible alternative to conventional training. For example, there are multiple previous work exploring X game as a sports training tool, breathing training tool, and to enhance balance, etc. Previous works have explored that the procedural techniques can be efficiently applied, and our method was inspired by previous research and by recent approaches to automate X game level synthesis. Our application extends the current list of such X games by proposing the use of racket spots. There are generally three parts in our paper. So first, we provide a modular virtual reality gaming application that can be used to synthesize exercise drills for various racket spots. Here we use table tennis, badminton, mini tennis as examples. Second is for the methodology. Markov chain Monte Carlo optimization method called simulated annealing was used to optimize the exercise drill. Gameplay-related cost terms are defined so that we can manipulate the training objectives and intensity levels to meet user-defined requirements. Third is that we conducted 2 user studies to evaluate the effectiveness of the application in aspects of exercise and training to show its potential as an exercise and training tool. So here is a general looking of the virtual table tennis X game training environment. As you can see, there is a virtual ball throwing machine was used to generate the shots from the exact same position. And we defined that one exercise drill should consist of a number of shots generated by our system and assembled in a sequential order. HTC table tennis racket and HTC Vive checker were used to control the virtual racket in the virtual environment. We defined several cost terms to control the generation of the shots. There are 2 types of cost terms defined in this paper, and their relationship with the total cost term is defined here. The first one is the shot cost term, represented as CS here, contain 3 sub-cost terms. There are distance, speed, and frequency respectively. The shot cost terms are used to control the exercise drill intensity level, and the WS denotes the weight values of the shot cost terms. Second kind is prior cost term, which is specified before the optimization process, and WP represents the prior cost term values. Let's first look at the shot cost. There are 3 factors are considered when defining shot cost. More specifically, CS distance denotes the distance covered by the user to complete the drill. It is assumed that the distance between the two adjacent shots, psi and psi plus 1, has a positive relationship to the exercise intensity level. If the two adjacent shots are more far away from each other, then it will result in higher intensity, exercise intensity. And CS speed denotes the speed of the shots. Also, the moving speed of the shot SI is positively related to the exercise intensity, as the athlete needs to be prepared to quickly decide and adjust his or her movement towards the direction of a moving ball. And CS frequency denotes the frequency with which the shots are generated. Frequency of shot SI is also positively related to exercise intensity, since high frequencies tend to keep an athlete vigilant, and there is no time to rest between adjacent shots. And every single shot SI can be defined as three variables here: the position, the speed, and the frequency. And we also have three prior cost terms considered in this paper. The first is the duration of the drill. It constrains the exercise drill to be of a certain duration. For example, how long the user wants the drill to be, how many shots they want to synthesize in a drill. Next is the variation between the shots. It ensures whether the generated shot will or will not have the same characteristics. When we perform exercise drills that require multiple repetitions of the same shot, the variation between repetitions should be minimized. Finally, the CP side corresponds to the court side. It assigns a side to the synthesized drill. In this case, it would either be a left side or a right side. For all cost terms, a Gaussian model was applied to normalize the values from 0 to 1. Next is the optimization. The target objective of the optimization process was to manipulate the exercise intensity. Based on the three components of the shot, position, speed, and frequency, 7 different moves were developed to be chosen by the optimizer. So it's either by change the three terms individually or by change different combinations of the terms. The figure in the right shows how the total cost value changes during the iteration process for the optimization. As we can see here, after about 1,400 iterations, the total cost is gradually decreased to 0, and the optimization process is regarded as finished. Here we have some optimization results showing the variations in exercise drills generated by our training system through keeping the target exercise amount constant. And we visualized the optimization results in 4 dimensions. During the process, the weights of the shot and prior cost terms remained constant. The first dimension is the numbers close to balls, denote the sequence index of the shots. 1 stands for this ball is the first shot, and 2 stands for second. 2 stands for second. Here we previously said the exercise drill contains 20 shots as an example. Of course, it could be easily changed in the application. The second dimension is the positions of the balls on the table are the falling positions of the corresponding shots. The third is that the colors of the balls stand for the speed value of the shot. More red means the speed of the corresponding shot is higher, and more green means lower. Finally, the sizes of the ball represent the frequency of the shot. Larger means the duration between the adjacent shots is shorter. In other words, corresponding shot will be generated faster. We can clearly see here every exercise drill with the same target values do have variations, which can ensure each training drill are not just a repetition of each other. Here we have some other optimization results showing the distribution of shots when varying the target values of the shot cost terms. The visualization dimensions are the same as the previous one, and the weight of the shot and prior cost terms are also remain to be constant. Here we can see clearly that the synthesized X game level do change according to different target values for each shot cost terms. When the target values are relatively smaller, as it shows in the first row of the figures, the shot positions are more close to each other, and the speed and frequency of the shots are relatively small compared to the figures in the second row. We can generally divide the levels generated here as low, medium, and high intensity levels. For the first user study, the participant group was comprised of 36 healthy undergraduate and graduate students. A heart rate sensor was used to capture the heart rates of the participants to determine how exercise levels of different difficulty, intensity, and variability affected them. Each participant's mean heart rate was computed after the randomly assigned trial is finished. After the exercise segment of the study, the participants were asked to provide a rating of perceived exertion (RPE) in order to measure the perceived intensity of the exercise drill. A 7-point scale was used. 1 indicated not high at all, and 7 indicated very, very high. Here are the box plots of the obtained results regarding the usage of our developed method as an exercise tool. The ANOVA results indicate our method can be used as an exercise tool. For the second user study, the participant group was comprised of 42 healthy undergraduate and graduate students. 3 examined conditions, no training, virtual reality training, and real-world training were defined and compared to evaluate our application. 2 measurements were captured. The first is the lost shots, which is the number of balls each participant was unable to hit with the table tennis racket. And next is the mistakes. This is the number of balls that were either stopped by the net on the table or bounced outside the table after the player hit the ball. ANOVA was used to compare the performance of our participants, and the results revealed that our method can automatically generate training drills that can help table tennis enthusiasts improve their skills. For more details, please refer to our paper and video. Thanks.
Okay, great. Thanks for the presentation. All right, I think Hui Ming is now here. If so, could you kindly come up to the stage? And if there are any questions, I don't see any on the Q&A just yet. Nothing in the public. And remember, you can also raise your hand if you have a question. So let me go ahead and kick it off. Did you observe any fatigue, or did any of the participants report any fatigue when they were playing?
I think before because the duration of the training it's just 20 shots, so that's not long enough for those participants to feel fatigue. So it's just about 2 or 3 minutes and then finish this shot.
Okay. Did you have any comments like they said they felt they could get exercise on a longer term basis?
Me?
Yeah, so did any of the participants say they might like to use it for exercise on a longer term basis?
Questionnaires is not covered in this topic. For those user studies which we just test for those heart rates and for the mistakes rate of the participants.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions? Remember, you can use the public channel, the Whova channel, or raise your hand here as well. And I hope I'm not missing anybody raising their hands. Okay, if there are no other questions, I'll just say thanks. It's really nice to have someone working on these kind of sport-based augmented or virtual reality applications. So thanks again, and let's thank speaker one more time.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, our speaker is Xingyao Yu, who will be presenting Perspective Matters, Design Implications for Motion Guidance in Mixed Reality. Okay, you can go ahead and start the video.
Hello, everyone. This is Xingyao Yu from Visualization Research Center at the University of Stuttgart. Today, I'm very honored to be able to present our work, Perspective Matters, Design Implications for Motion Guidance in Mixed Reality, which was contributed by both University of Stuttgart and Graz University of Technology. In many areas, providing effective and precise motion guidance is essential, such as physiotherapy, sports, dance, and yoga. Because if you don't do it correctly, you may hurt yourself badly. There are many existing works about virtual motion guidance for us to take reviews. For instance, Physio at Home and Sleep AR both provided the movement path to guide the users, in which the users could easily get the preview and progress of current motions. Physio at Home presents the guidance in mirror-person perspective and Sleep AR in first person. However, due to the inability to visualize the movement depth, traditional display techniques like TV and projector can only visualize a movement trajectory on surfaces, which is not suitable for in-air 6-degree of freedom motions. On the other hand, with the development of VR, AR, MR, these techniques are able to visualize 6-degree of freedom guidance, but most of the current 6-degree of freedom motion guidance systems choose to visualize the postures without clear movement path, such as one body and AR arm. In other words, the user have no idea how long this motion could be and how much the user has completed. So our work focused on the careful combination of movement path visualizations and 6-degree of freedom motions. Furthermore, while there are many MR motion guidance solutions, a systematic understanding of the role of different design factors in this space is still lacking. For instance, the perspective, the visual encoding, and the motion types. In this work, we make the following two contributions. First, we presented 3 user studies on MR motion guidance, for which we implemented the respective prototypes. And second, we contributed a set of synthesized design and research implications for MR motion guidance systems. In study 1, we focused on the effect of perspective on the single-arm frontal motions. To study the question outlined above, we developed a prototype in which we visualize the movement path with the arrows and the posture with stick figures. Besides, we used the blue rubber bands to guide the users to align their arms to the correct positions in 3D space. In the first study, we compared the first person and the 2D mirror person perspectives proposed in Physio at Home. We invited 12 participants to join this. We designed 4 frontal motions with the same length of trajectory and similar difficulty. We measured movement error and task completion time in this study. The movement error, which is the positional deviation of the rest, is calculated by the Euclidean distance between the current positions and the desired ones. For both metrics, the fewer values means the better performance. From what we measured, the first person caused a smaller movement error and the completion time. In this study, the first person perspective outperformed the 2D mirror for frontal motions. In our second study, we focused on the effect of perspective on the motions in different areas around the users. In study 2, where we slightly modified the former prototype, we compared the first person perspective with the third person. Here, we visualize the third person perspective in the way of video games, where the avatar was scaled down and put before the user. Here, we designed 2 motions in need of both arms. One happens in the frontal area of the user, while the other happens in the peripheral. We invited 12 participants to join this study. As a result, we found the frontal motion caused smaller movement error than the peripheral. and there's an interaction effect can be found on completion time. While for frontal motion, first person was clearly and significantly better. For peripheral motion, the third person perspective slightly outperformed the first person. As both are movement involved in, here we additionally measured the head rotation. We found the first person perspective caused a significantly higher head rotation than third person. Besides, we found a correlation between the accuracy of individual arms in first person. The plot below shows that a male participant is switching his focus between the both hands as the area of the focused side decreases. In study 3, we try to figure out the effect of perspective and visual encoding on the motions with different characteristics. With a more focused visualization and motion range, in this prototype, we thought to replace the realistic avatar with the abstract arm token. And here we designed two different forms of visual encoding. Dreamer as the continuous guidance, and ghost arm as the discrete one. In this study, we compared the first person with a 3D mirror person perspective, in which there is an additional arm token conducting a mirror symmetric movement with the user. We designed 4 motions with different characteristics and metaphors: ring, G-clef, cake piece, and combo. And because these motions have different lengths of trajectory and velocities, here we normalize the task completion time, in which the participant's completion time was divided by the duration of a preset motion. The results of the movement error, normalized completion time, and subjective feedback are consistent with each other, that the first person was better than the 3D mirror person perspective, and the ghost arm outperformed the streamer. For motions, ring and G-clef caused a smaller movement error and completion time than the other 2 motions. The cake piece evoked the highest movement error, and the combo caused the highest completion time. Combined with the subjective ranking of difficulty, we concluded that combo motion here was the most difficult one. After all 3 studies, we got some synthesized conclusion. First, our results support the previous findings on the natural and intuitive advantages of first-person perspective, but only for the frontal motions. For motions, in study 3, we designed 4 motions with different characteristics. To this end, we considered the different possible characteristics that may have an influence on motion complexity: trajectory length, number of the intersections, number of arm joints, and the number of the 2D segments. Then for guidance, after study 3, we found that the visual encoding, especially the continuity of movement paths, does matter, but not as much as perspective. The explicit representation of arm joints in ghost arm was very beneficial to maintain the postures. Furthermore, the visual clutter should be limited, or it will prevent the users from aligning their limbs in 3D space. In this paper, first, we present 3 studies about the effect of perspective, visual encoding, and motion characteristics on VR guidance systems. Second, we found that the first-person perspective outperforms the other existing perspectives in VR regarding position and time. Finally, we provide the design implications regarding perspective selection and its interaction with motion characteristics, together with the guidance design. We hope that our work will help to further build up the foundations for future research in these directions. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you for the talk. Let's give a round of applause. Okay, any questions? Remember, you can use Whova, public channel, or raise your hand. Okay, we have a couple questions here. So first question, in study 2, were both the first motion and the third person perspective shown simultaneously to the participants in the user study?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, we can.
Okay, so the first person perspective and the third person perspective, we treat them as we use a within subject design, and the participant has to experience in both conditions separately. Did I answer your question? Well, any other questions?
Okay. Don't see any hands right now. But I have a quick question. So it looks like you placed trackers on the shoulder, elbow, and wrist to do the study. Did you notice any drift of the trackers? Like, did the trackers move at all when they were performing the movements?
Yes, I put the trackers on I put the tracks on the arm joints for the study 3, but only in study 1 we used only the Kinect, and then in study 2 we used the we combined the Kinect tracking and that the participant hold the two HTC Vive controllers in their hands. Then in study 3, we bound 3 trackers on the arm joints.
Mm-hmm. So in study 3, did the trackers move at all, or how did you affix them to the hands?
We bought some bandage from the Amazon.
Okay, so they were banded.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, any other questions? Someone's typing currently. Okay, we had another question. What kind of motion patterns are used for the participant to practice? Is the result task dependent?
Actually, I'm not very clear about your question. So the patterns, what do you mean the patterns? Please.
In terms of the hand movements.
Okay, then in study 1, we choose 4 frontal motions in need of single arm. Then in study 2, as what I showed in the video, we use two motions in need of both arms, and one is derived from a physiotherapy motion, and the other is from a yoga motion. And then in study 3, all 4 motions have their own metaphors designed by me, actually.
Okay, great. Hopefully answer the question. It looks like there's a little bit more typing going on. In the meantime, I think Frank, you had a question. Your hand's up. Go ahead, Frank.
Yes. Hi. So this is a very interesting talk. Can you hear me, by the way?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Excellent. So this is a very interesting talk, and I'm very happy to know this study about the different kind of motion guidance. But I'd like to ask a question is more for the practical usage. So the idea that normally when we design a VR or AR game, we normally provide just one, first person perspective or third person perspective to the user, and this is always, practice from the beginning until the end. But it seems like from the study, at the different scenarios, different kind of perspective have the advantage. So in that sense, what is your recommendation?
What is my
because I just make it clear because just for example, if I have a game and then inside there are some scenarios, maybe the first perspective is better, but there are also some scenarios maybe a third person perspective is better. So so in that sense, how do we handle this kind of conflict?
I think it depends on the motion type. For instance, some motions involves just your frontal area, right? But for the others, I mean, what if a motion need you to move your hand behind at your back? Then I think only the third person perspective can work, right? Because you can see your hands behind you in first person perspective or second person or mirror person perspective.
All right. But the thing is that normally during a game, if the game by itself, the computer enforced to change the perspective, the user might get lost, right? Because normally if we play the game, we will choose either the player will choose the first person perspective or the third person perspective. So I don't know whether this will be some issue if the system will say, okay, now we need to switch to third person.
So I think maybe your game should allow a dynamic switch between different perspectives.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jason.
Okay, great. I think we're about out of time for questions. There's one more comment in the chat, but let's thank the speaker one more time.
I mean, yes, I can reply to him by chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll work too. Okay, sounds good. We'll go ahead and move on to our next speaker, who's Gabion Park, who will be presenting 3D hand pose estimation with a single infrared camera via domain transfer learning. And go ahead with the video.
Hello, my name is Gabion Park from KSDBR Lab. This work is joint work with Professor Taekyung Kim. He recently moved from Imperial College London to KAIST, and Professor Taego from KSDBR Lab. This work, we estimate slid hand pose with a single infrared camera. First of all, I'm going to introduce a background of this research. Many people already know the hand tracking is very important problem. Many companies, as Microsoft, Google, and Facebook, are actively studying it. We can say the reason is that the hand is the most intuitive and frequently used interface for manipulation of virtual objects. Next, I'm going to explain the motivation. There is typical LGBT camera to capture the real hand. If the hand motion is slow, you can get sharp RGB and depth images. Then, based on many previous works, we can estimate slid hand pose given the sharp RGB and depth images. Actually, there are other challenges like occlusions by the another object or hand. But we more focus on different challenges in case of fast hand motion. In this fast hand motion, we get blurry RGB and depth imaging. What will happen given this image artifact? We show some results under fast hand motion. First work is able to reinitialize the hand pose, but during fast hand motion, it gives inadequate results. The second work also said a limitation for motion block by fast hand motion. It also gives incorrect results when the hand moves fast. What will happen when we interact with virtual objects based on fast hand motion? We tested a depth-based method in MRTK framework by Microsoft. Although the pose was recovered after fast hand motion, The iteration failed because the estimate pose was not maintained. Actually, this problem could be addressed by filtering within iteration part, but we address this problem as split hand pose estimation problem from different input image. We first use a large dataset named after big hand dataset. The advantage of the depth image does not alter hand appearance, even though the external sensor is attached to the hand. Then we train a hand pose estimator given the labeled sharp depth images using supervised learning. Finally, we train our model given depth and IR images with self-supervised domain transfer learning. Our input are depth and IR images. The camera sensor we use is the internal Intel RealSense 300 camera. We observed that the IR image is less blurred while the depth image is contaminated by less hand motion. So the main idea is domain transfer learning from depth to IR. This is a diagram of training the networks. We first train the depth-based HPE with supervised learning. Then we bring the network parameters. We train the other networks based on domain transfer learning. Next, I will introduce each network. We first train the HPE given depth images. The same network architecture is employed in the work below. Training is fully supervised from labeled depth images in beacon dataset. As proposed in the work, we define the loss function between the skeletal joint positions in lower dimensional space. In testing phase, we reconstruct them to the original 3D skeletal joint positions. Next, we train the other networks, HIG, HID, and HP, given impaired images. For this, we freeze the first train network parameters. The HIG transfers the IR image to depth map. We do this based on piece-to-piece network architecture. So the loss function consists of reconstruction loss between the synthesized depth map and real depth map. And we have discriminator loss to classify real or fake depth and image. Finally, our generator transfers the IR image to depth map. We also use consistency loss in the intermediate feature space. We employed this idea in the below work. And the skeletal joint positions are externally supervised by the predict from the real depth map. For different branch, we can also train the HP2 given real IR. We also freeze the network parameters in the HP0. The consistency loss in the intermediate feature space is defined for the training. And the skeletal joint positions are supervised by the predict from HP0 given real depth map. Finally, we define HP2. For refinement, we utilize both blurry and non-blurry image pair. When the hand motion is fast, the depth image becomes blurry, so the target should be changed. In this case, the skeletal joint positions are guided by HP1, given the synthesized depth rather than real depth map. For sharp images, a depth-based HP can estimate where the 3D hand positions. So in this case, we keep the target as HP0. These are HIG results. We have IR input. The depth image is synthesized from the real IR input. As shown in this figure, the depth image was synthesized well. The pixel error was not bad. This is effect of intermediate loss. In most cases, the introduction of the intermediate loss increased the accuracy. However, in case of freezing the HP1 while training HIG, the intermediate loss does not give good effect. But this is not a real problem because we update HP1 while training HIG. This is the effect of each network. In slow motion without motion blur, the HP0 given real depth image shows as the result. But in case of motion blur, the result of HP0 degrades. On the other hand, our IR-based solution gives good results. We also compared our result to other state-of-the-art methods. The third bars are the results on the frames with very fast hand motion. Our results shows adequate results, especially when the hand motion is fast. We also compiled our dataset from different users, not used for training dataset. Quantitatively, our result does not give best performance in the frames with slow motion. In these frames, the depth images are not blurred, and the depth images have more information than the IR images have. So depth-based solution gives better result than IR-based solution. However, it doesn't mean that IR-based solution gives poor result in the slow motion. Consequently, our result gives superior result, especially when the depth image is contaminated by motion blur due to fast hand motion. Right is some examples of qualitative results in the frames with fast hand motion. In the beginning, I showed the failure cases from depth-based solution in the fast hand motion. However, our IR-based solution did not fail to manipulate virtual objects in fast hand motion. We show best translation and rotation of the augmented object in MITK. Conclusion, we propose the training method to estimate the 3D hand skeletons from a single infrared camera. More detail, we propose self-supervised augmented spawning, and we demonstrate that our solution is very useful, especially when existing depth-based HP gives incorrect results to motion blur. Thank you for listening my presentation.
Okay, great. Thank you for the presentation. Let's thank the speaker. Round of applause. And we already have a question in the public chat. Why are the infrared images less blurry?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, we observed that it depends on the shutter speed. It is not fact that all IR images are less blurry. We observed that in case of SR300 camera, we use the IR image has a fast shutter speed. So it is why the IR image is less blurry.
Okay, hopefully that answered the question. Any other questions from the audience or in the chat? I also have one along the same lines. For the, I guess you used LEDs for illumination. Does it suffice to have one LED, let's say, placed right next to the camera, or do you need multiple LEDs from different angles to illuminate the hand?
LED? What LED? So you mean the IR image?
Yeah, for the IR image, how do you illuminate the hand?
Yes, you mean the location? I mean the calibration?
Location and number.
Number. Yeah, it's the depth camera has a transmitter and receiver, so the location is different.
So you don't have any external illumination. All the IR illumination comes from the depth sensor.
Yes, we just use the camera sensor, and we use just the library, so we didn't consider that. Yeah.
Okay, great. That's great. Any other questions or comments? Okay, I think that's it. So let's thank the speaker one last time. All right. And now I will invite the final presentation, which will be presented by Chong Chow, if you could come up on stage. And the title is Automatic Generation of Diegetic Guidance in Cinematic Virtual Reality. And go ahead, start the video.
Gentlemen, good morning. I'm Chong Cao from Beihang University. Today I'm presenting the paper Automatic Generation of Diegetic Guidance in Cinematic Virtual Reality. In recent years, numerous devices supporting cinematic virtual reality have been introduced to the market. For example, Google Cardboard and Oculus Rift. This work is motivated by a practical problem in cinematic virtual reality. As some of you may have experienced, when you are in a virtual space, you are free to look around and see what is happening. This brings a lot of fun, but some key events may happen out of your current view. Then you may find the CVR boring as shown in this figure. CVR directors also find it hard to balance between the free-to-view characteristics of VR and the informative characteristics of movies. So how to attract the viewer's attention to the key event is important for the viewer to follow the storyline and maintain immersion. Here are some representative methods on how to draw viewers' attention to a specific area. Camera movement can possibly force viewers to look at a specific direction. Such unnatural switches often result in motion sickness, and viewers may feel annoyed or uncomfortable. Image manipulation or graphical instructions can implicitly draw viewers' attention, but they change the original aesthetics of the CVR work and negatively influence viewers' perception of immersion. Object movement is one of the most often used approaches to naturally direct viewers' attention to a specific event. For example, the viewer's attention is attracted by a flying crowd and redirected to where the dragon appears in this figure. This research aims to find a proper way of viewer guidance in the virtual space with little harm to viewers' freedom and immersion. Based on the goal, we analyze the relationship between the viewer guidance and target events in CVR. Here are some conclusions already validated in previous work. Viewers with events without guidance in CVR. Graphical guidance is effective in CVR. Movement guidance is effective in CVR. In the following, we formulate the events and guidance in CVR and propose a technique to automatically generate diegetic guidance. Due to the spatial characteristic of VR, formulating a position with its orientation and distance relative to the viewer is a more intuitive way to demonstrate it. Thus, we use spherical polar coordinate with its origin located at the viewer's position to describe spatial information in CVR. The position an event E takes place can be denoted as RE, theta E, and phi E. And the orientation of the viewer can be denoted as theta O and phi O as shown in this figure. To accurately get the viewer's attention to an event, we need to know the temporal and spatial information of the event. We use temporal variant T to formulate the temporal information. A sequential list of events makes up the event of interest script. Guidance G is formulated similarly to events. We add an angular speed parameter omega in addition to start time, duration, distance, and angle. In order to guide the viewer successfully to an event, two restrictions need to be satisfied. First, the starting angle of the guidance should be in the current field of view. Second, the event should be within the viewer's field of view at the end of the guidance. Based on these formulations, we can determine the starting time and trajectory of the dynamic guidance according to the target event and the viewer's dynamic orientation. A short CVR dragon is produced to test viewers' experience with different guidance. Here are some screenshots of dragon. In the CVR, appearance of the dragon is considered as a key event. 3 key points in evaluating the guidance are taken into consideration. First, effectiveness. Viewers should be attracted by the guidance, redirected to the event, and successfully see the event. Second, comfort. Viewers should feel comfortable and free, do not suffer from motion sickness during the guidance. The third is efficiency. Viewers should be directed to the event as fast as possible, avoiding unnecessary time occupation.
Based on these key points, we designed a questionnaire and asked each participant to fill it out after they experience the CVR. The questionnaire contains 5 questions. The second question is a validation test. The question is set in case some participants do not know well about the procedure of the test. After the validation test, 60 valid user responses are collected. We calculate the accuracy for question 1, the average rating for question 3 and question 4. The storytelling accuracy for arrow guidance and crowd medium guidance are 100%, well above the accuracy of no guidance, which is only 40%. This comparison validates the conclusion that viewers may lose some details without guidance in CVR, and both guidance tests are effective. For diegetic guidance, the speed of movement has a significant influence on the effectiveness. The accuracy for the medium, low, and high speed is 100%, 20%, and 67% respectively. We hypothesized that high contrast between a moving object and the background would make the guidance more effective. However, the result is quite the opposite. The storytelling accuracy for automatic guidance is 100%, which suggests that the approach is as effective as using arrows and using medium speed crawl. Besides, the average time of automatic guidance is only 4.2 seconds, half of the time used by the medium speed crawl. For participants' responses on comfort level, the ratings range from 1 to 5. From the result, we can see that participants in no guide, arrow guide, and auto crawl guide conditions gave an average response higher than 4.0. Namely, participants in these conditions feel more comfortable during the CVR. On one hand, participants with these 3 types of guidance change their orientation to see the event less than participants in other conditions. On the other hand, the parameters used in arrow and auto crawl conditions are the most suitable for guidance. In conclusion, guidance using movement in CVR may cause motion sickness and decrease the comfort level, especially when the viewer needs to turn his or her orientation a lot. The immersion ratings are relatively high in the crawl fast and auto crawl conditions, and low in the arrow and pigeon conditions. Namely, the movement parameters of the guiding object influence viewer perception of immersion. To better analyze participants' orientation changes, we recorded orientation data and visualized it. The key event is marked with a red dot in the figure. When the event takes place, if the angle between the viewer's orientation and the event orientation is bigger than half of an effective FOV, the viewer is very likely to miss the event. From the result, we can see that before the guidance, viewers in both conditions explore the visual space freely. When the event is going to take place, the guidance effectively redirects the viewer's orientation to the direction the event takes place. After that, viewers' attention is attracted by the event and varies as the direction of the event changes. We also show the screen recordings of a participant in the no guidance and the auto crawl guidance conditions in the supplementary materials of this paper. Despite the fact that we managed to capture data from a relatively large number of users, we are faced with a small sample size per condition. This limits our ability to conduct an in-depth statistical analysis using hypothesis testing. For capturing comfort and immersion level, we do not use standardized questionnaires, but rather do this through adaptation of these methods to a single question evaluation on the Likert scale. To some extent, this limits the comparability of our results to other studies. In the future, we are interested in applying the technology of DDG to a broader range of fields, building standard data sets for CVR evaluation, developing 3D model generation, and image generation technology may lead to better and fully automatic generation results. That's the end of our presentation. Thank you for listening.
Okay, great. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. Let's give the speaker a round of applause.
我可以鞠躬吗？不能。
All right, any questions? Remember, you can use the Whova application, the public chat, or raise your hand in virtual reality. Okay, I don't see any so far. I'll go ahead and start it off. So, in looking at your results slide, the slow crow had a very low recollection rate. Was that because the crow was, the observers didn't actually follow the crow, or was it too slow and they didn't end up seeing the target object?
Well, that's a very interesting question. Actually, we think that the slow crawl would be a very good guidance for users because it's very easy to follow. But actually, when users are in the cinematic virtual reality, some of them find it's very boring to follow a very slow crawl. So some of the users would choose to follow the crawl at the beginning, maybe for a few seconds. And after that, they just choose to give it up and turn to the original direction where they start to follow the crawl. And this happens to lead to like a more wrong direction where they can see the key events. That's very interesting result. Yeah, that's what we find in the user study.
Oh wow, yeah, it's quite interesting to have such short attention spans. Okay, any other questions from the audience? Very welcome to type or shout them out. Okay, it doesn't look like there's anything else on Huba, so let's thank the speaker one more time.
Thank you.
Okay, and then let's have one more big round of applause for all the speakers, because this will conclude all the session. Okay, great job, everybody. This will conclude session 16 on VR experiences and studies. And now we have a short social break before the walking in XR session. Thanks again, everybody.
Thanks, Jason. Now we're going to have our first social break of the day. I'll invite the student volunteer, Pratik Sakar. Please make the announcements. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy.
Welcome to the iLearn Virtual Campus. Please sign up for a free iLearn membership on our website, check out our 7th annual conference coming next spring 2021, and let us know if you're interested in hosting events or leasing space on our campus by emailing campus@immersivelrn.org.